one of the other things along with generating leads is I see franchisors and franchisees, they don't have really solid systems on consumer facing, the follow-up, the nurturing to help a lead become an actual customer. And I know that you're a beast at that. So talk about that for a little bit.
This problem has been a problem since I had my first gym, right? When I work the leads, I get 3 times as many people in the gym as one of my employees did. And it's because it just takes a lot. It's just hustle. Like there's no secret to getting leads to show besides just work and repetition. So there's 4, I'm going to go real quick on this because there's a lot I can cover. So there's 4 pillars to lead nurture to get the highest amount of leads to show. You got volume of outreach, so the number of times you reach out to them, the personalization behind the outreach, which is how catered to the messaging is it for that specific avatar and their goal. The speed, which has 2 components, the speed of from opt-in to first contact, and also the speed of response at any point between then and their appointment. So someone messages you, they opted in, you message them, but then they ask you a question of like, am I need to bring my kid, or do you take adults, or whatever, right? If they don't get a response and not a timely response, they're going to that's going to be an indicator of the level of service they're going to get when they come in. And so that will decrease show rate. So speed is two parts there. And then the 4th one is availability, which is probably the secret weapon of what we've been able to figure out with the data science team that we have on our SaaS company, which does all lead nurture, which Erik was alluding to. Availability is the single greatest predictor for throughput on a campaign. If you do not have time to meet with prospects, you will not get prospects to show. If 7-Eleven were only open from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., there would not be a lot of customers. It doesn't mean you have to sell all day. Boo-hoo, right? Who wouldn't want to sell all day? But it does mean you have to be available to sell. And that is kind of the big difference. And the people who crush and the ones who don't are the ones who are like, I'm available 2 hours, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. It's like, well, like, how do you think you're going to hit your goal if you only have 6 hours of 160 that you're selling? Like, in what world does that make sense for you when you say you want to hit this extra 100 members in 90 days? Show me logistically how that could even work if you're only closing 1 out of 3 and you have 2 hours, 3 days a week. That's 6 hours. So that's 2 hours of closes that you're going to have per week. How are you going to grow? It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people don't even do that math. That's the theoretical side of lead nurture. The story for how this started was, I won't go too far back, but basically it was the biggest problem that we saw between the highest performers and lowest performers. I can double someone's close rate, going from 30% to 60%. That takes time and effort, but we can do it, right? My lowest performers on a lead nurture side were at 5% of their leads showing up versus my highest guys were at 45 or 50%. So I'm talking about a 10x differential in throughput compared to a 2x differential in improving someone's closing percentage of skills. And I saw pickup rates going down over time. I was like, I'll bet you, and with machine learning where it's continuing to improve and get better, and the aggregate masses going towards messaging, I was like, I'll bet you that we could put something here that could take care of this. And so it took us 2 years to put the software together and we ran lots of data through. Sent 1.5 million texts in the last 8 weeks. So we have a lot of data that we work off of. By doing that, we were able to take the biggest pain point or bottleneck in acquisition out of the way. And so now, especially if you're a franchisor listening to this, I function very similar to you, right? So if I've got 500 facilities, we have 600 now, right, that are working with us actively. I know my bottom third are the ones who are going to churn. They're the ones who are going to struggle. My top guys always win, right? Because they're winners. But if I could just get all of my bottom third to above average or even just at average, that would change the game for me. And that's pretty much what we did with Alan, which is the software. So we just plug it right into their website, and then it functions as that lead nurture specialist, and it does it for less and it does it better.
So lead nurturing, it's email follow-up, it's phone
call,
text, and it's text messaging.
Yep, 100%. And so, I mean, honestly, we even looked at the difference. We don't even email anymore. Not to say that email doesn't work, but if you can get someone via SMS, they're going to be the most responsive.
Really, that's smart. I mean, of course it's smart, but a lot of people still don't even know that that's smart though, Alex. I mean, what's the number? What percentage of people open up a text or view a text versus an email?
So there's industry averages and there's new people. Like on a list, it's 10%. If it's a new person who opted in for something, you can get 30 to 40% opt-in rates depending on the offer, right? Sorry, not open rates, open rates, depending on the offer. On a text, it's virtually across the board, independent of what you're doing. It's 98% plus of texts are open. So right off the bat, you're getting 3 times as many people to even see the nurturing process that you're doing. And the likelihood that they respond is also much higher via SMS compared to an email. And so because of that, the speed of response, the communication cycle, it just makes way more sense for us to just get people booked in 2 minutes rather than email, and then they forget, it goes down the inbox, etc.
I have to say this, if you're new to all of this, or you're trying just to test some of the stuff out on your own and you're sending text messages, you can get in big trouble doing that.
You have to make sure that anyone who's opting in is opting in for pre-recorded phone calls and SMS. There has to be a disclaimer box and they have to check it before they opt in. Otherwise you can get fined $150 in SMS, which is, it's like a DUI. It's an egregious amount of money by design to make sure that people actually do it.
You were in Russell's inner circle. It was a mastermind. As you're going through this process, how much, and he's a brilliant guy, how much did he help you unpackage some of this stuff or think differently? Because I see so many people struggle because they're in the gym industry. They think that's what they're good at, but they just don't have the practice or the mental ability to think differently.
So I'll say two things. I've been a part of multiple masterminds. I think the best masterminds, I'll say two. There's different types of masterminds that will give you different things. And so if you're in an industry specific mastermind, it's almost impossible to not know what all the best practices are, what's working right now, new plays, new hooks, new offers that are working today from a group that's working together. And in an industry, typically they're separated geographically. So there's not a lot of, some people are always scarcity mindset, but most people are very giving. And in our community, we give a lot, so they give a lot. I think those are really incredibly valuable. On the flip side, when you go across industries, that's also very valuable, but in different ways, because you have people in hotels charging deposits. You're I wonder if I could use that in the fitness world. How can I use that in my, you know what I mean? And so I think you get more creative input, and I come out with more ideas from a general mastermind than I do from a specific one. But the specific one aren't ideas. I'm all right, when we go home, we're going to do these 10 things.
Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.